Even though this thing didn't run in 7 years, it still sat inside. So you can tell it's pretty clean. Besides the tear on the seat, it looks pretty decent. Those golden wheels pop. Has a good tank. It does have the dual exhaust on it. So the double heads. You can see right there. So there's 2 heads right there, which means that also has 2 carburetors. Has good compression and everything, brand new tires basically. But it does not run. It needs both of the carbs cleaned and it needs new fuel. It does have the shock covers, which the shocks do look clean under there. Frame's a little rusty from all the years. It's cool how the radiator sits where the grill does right there. But you can tell it was stored inside and not much rust. Cables are all good. Things are really easy to work on. And boom, right here. Not bad at all. A little bit of corrosion right there. But not bad, pretty clean. Alright guys, so I'm very happy that this thing sat inside and the owner well took care of it. You can tell on the outside. As you can see, it used to say Banshee right here, but no longer does. Alright guys, let's see if it has good oil in it, or at least if it has oil. Oh yeah, that oil looks super clean. I've seen way worse before. Alright guys, so to check the coolant, 3 screws right here, Phillips, and this should come right off. So let's unscrew it and check that coolant. Feel me set on the ground. Okay. Alright guys, so let's unveil what's under this radiator cap. Is there coolant? Let's see. It is topped off on green, beautiful coolant. Yes, you can tell this thing was very taken care of. But it just sat for 7 years in a garage. So, I guess let's pressure wash it and see how it will look with all the dust off. When I went to test if this thing has spark, there is no spark on both of the spark plug holes. Here I have a multimeter, and let's get to testing why this thing could possibly not have spark. So guys, off camera I tested this kill switch and the ignition, and that all checks out. That's not my issue. So guys, the first thing I'm gonna do is test my lighting coil. So you turn on the multimeter and you put the it doesn't matter which one, you just stick it in there pretty much. I'll show you when I stick it in. So guys, I stick it in there and the specs is 0.2 to 0.36, and I'm in spec. It was at 0.3 and it just went down, but we're perfect there, so that means the lighting coil is good. Alright guys, so the next thing I'm going to test is the pickup coil, and you get both this, and it doesn't matter which one you touch, but you test to the white with the red tracer and with the white and the green tracer. You put it up, and the specs for this is 94 to 140 ohms. So let's touch it up here. Alright guys, and it shows 14.9. It was 115, so it's well in the middle of the specs almost. So the pickup coil is good. Alright guys, so the last thing we're gonna have to test here is the ignition coil, and you touch the red and green wires, And the tolerance for that is 13.7 ohms to 20 ohms. So let's touch these two wires. And it's showing 17. So we're right at spec for that. So that means our ignition coil is good too. So let's keep digging. Alright guys, so this primary coil right here, these two little things up here, it calls for 2.8 to 3.8 ohms. And you just touch it, and it doesn't matter the order or anything of how you touch it. So touch it in. Alright, so next what I'm going to test is a secondary coil. So what you do is get one wire, put it in here, get the other wire, put it in here. And so the specs for this is 4700 and 7100, and we're at 5800, so that's all good. So the secondary coil is in good condition. Alright guys, so I was thinking that this little magnet on the stator could be my next issue. So what you do is you get like a little skinny piece of paper, you put it through, and mine does drag the piece of paper. So the magnet works. I sanded it all, and I put the little thing I was testing earlier back in, kicked it over, and it still has no spark. So there's only two more things left that I can think of. That the issue is, number one, that CDI box right here could be an issue. There's no way you can test that. You just have to buy a new one. And the second issue that could be is the wiring harness. So I'm hoping that my issue is the CDI box, which just sits under here, under these fenders. So let's pull the old one out, put the old one in, and see if the no spark issue possibly changes. If not, I will have to order a new wiring harness, but I'm really hoping that that's my issue, because pretty much it's the only thing that could be. Alright guys, so you unplug these two wires right here from each other, and then there's two 10mm bolts. Right here they have to unscrew, and your CDI comes out just like that. Very simple. Alright guys, so with this old CDI box out, this is how it looks. Here's the new one. Fairly cheap part, around 50 bucks, and it's well worth it to invest that into a Banshee. Even if this is not my issue, you know, at least have a new CDI. But let's put this in pretty much the reverse way I took that out. Got the new CDI box installed. So I gave this puppy a few kicks, and believe it or not, both of the side spark plugs have spark. I'm really happy and surprised that I actually managed to make this thing have spark. Alright guys, so I gave it about 10 kicks, put some star fluid. Let's give it some more. Woo! Get the exhaust. Got it started. It just shut off and it wouldn't start back up. What I believe the issue is here is that the fuel lines were filled with the old junk oily fuel, and I think it plugged up the carburetor again. And while I'm at it, I'm gonna check the spark plugs again, maybe change them if it's needed, and I'm gonna do a whole new carb clean in this video. Pretty much it broke, but I got it here on the lift. Let's get right to work. Alright guys, I removed this one carb. I actually removed it last night off camera. One of the carbs, I cleaned it out, as you guys can see. and it is spotless shining here. So the jets are down there. I tested these floats and the floats seem to work. So without further ado, let's get to removing those jets and seeing if any of them are plugged. Alright guys, so I took both of these jets out. This is the main jet, I believe, and I believe that's the pilot jet. They both look spotlessly clean to me. So maybe the other carburetor might be plugged because the Banshee just doesn't want to run. It only runs on starter fluid and then it dies out and it kind of leaks fuel. Maybe these floats are bad, but I did test them and they seem to work and holding gas and all that. So I guess this carburetor is a good one. Maybe the other one is. Let's put this car back together. Alright guys, so I did finish putting this carburetor back together. I gave it one little last clean here so it shines. So this carb is not my issue, it's all good. So let's move on to the next carburetor. Alright guys, I got this carb. Now let's remove this carb. Alright guys, so I got this carburetor off. And before working on it, let's kind of clean it up a little bit. So that no more dirt gets in there. Off of here. I did clean these carbs already, but maybe I didn't notice something. So I want to clean them again. Alright guys, I cracked open this carburetor. It looks okay, but let's get down to those jets. You guys already saw how I tear down the other carburetor. So I guess I'll catch you if I find any jets that are plugged. Well guys, I pulled this jet out and it seems to be plugged. I cannot see through it at all. So I think this one's plugged. I'll clean this one out and I'll pull out that pilot jet in there and see if it's plugged also. I'll clean this jet out right here, the main jet, and it was so plugged I had to get a wire brush and brush it out before it would look good. So now it's clear, and let's pull out that pilot jet and see if it's plugged. Alright guys, so also the same story with this pilot jet, it is plugged too. So I have to clean this one out also. Alright guys, so also got this pilot jet cleaned out. I'm telling you, it was quite a battle. I had to shove the skinny piece of metal through this about 3 times, spray it out a lot, and then put it in there again, and it just wouldn't clean out. Then finally got some compressed air and blew through there and it cleared out finally. So now I'm gonna clean through here and just clean like everywhere the fuel goes through, and hopefully the Banshee will start running properly. Alright guys, so I finally got this carburetor all back together. Let's go clean the fuel lines on the Banshee. Pretty much guys, here's the fuel line, and I'll just spray it through with the carburetor clean. Just spray it all through everywhere good. Make sure there's no dirt or old gas in here. Alright guys, so I got this fuel line really clean inside. Let's get to putting this carburetor back on. Alright guys, so I got both of these carburetors back on. Got the fuel line on. Now, I'll put on this gas tank. Hopefully this thing runs way better, because last time it just ran on starter fluid. It kind of sounded like it wasn't getting any fuel. Alright guys, I got this gas tank on. And let's see if it will leak gas. I guess it has no leaks, so we're good on that. So guys, if you're wondering what was the issue with it, so pretty much it kind of runs and then it dies and it starts leaking fuel and then it just won't start. So I think it was this carburetor that was my issue, but let's find out. hear it. Make this Banshee look good. It's pretty much like 90% all good. Just there's a few things that bug me about it. So let's get right to it. Alright guys, so the first thing I want to start off is with this front bumper. It is really rusty and I want to get that fixed. I want to make this bumper look good. So let's take it off. There's 4 bolts here. On each side, I believe it's 12mm bolts. So let's do it. And guys, while you're under here, wipe the dust down because you won't be able to get under here often. Alright guys, so I removed this old like front bumper off the Banshee. It's all rusty. So I'm going to be using some 240 grit sandpaper. So what I'm going to be doing is actually painting it. Alright guys, so I got this thing all sanded down and wiped off. Let's get it painted. So guys, this bumper is on. And it seems looking 100 times better than it did with the old rusty bumper. So that's fixed. Let's move on to the next issue. So guys, the next thing I want to do is these tires look very bold and boring. So let's change that. Guys, so I am done and check out how it looks. It looks really amazing. So guys, it's pretty time consuming to do one of these. So I'll finish the rest off camera and show you how it looks when I'm done. Alright guys, so I am finished on all 4 tires. And it turned out amazing. Looks really good. I'm very happy with how it turned out. Next, I want to restore this right here and these. I got some YZ blue paint. So I'm gonna paint this blue right here. This doesn't need to be repainted, it's this. So let's get to it. Alright guys, so I got this cover here all sanded and ready to paint. Let's paint. Alright guys, so I got it painted gold. I'm actually color matching it with the rims. So I want to color match this where the brake fluid is. Probably this cover I'm gonna color match. and I'll see maybe a few more things. So the first coat is on, catch you in a second. All the coats are on and it's dry. So guys, just in case you're wondering what kind of powder coater I'm using, I'm actually using the $3 special Walmart powder coater, and it's working pretty good. So guys, what I do with these old bolts that look really ugly is I put it in the vice grip, and then I grab my wire brush and I wire brush it on top, and it makes the bolt look really good. Alright guys, I got it all sanded and it's shiny. This bolt is now acceptable to be going along with the golden cover. Alright guys, so I put the throttle cover and the brake cover on and it looks amazing. Next, what I want to do is make that this shifter look just like those covers. So let's take off the shifter. It's just a 12mm bolt. And so guys, I got the shifter all painted up. Let's put it on. Ugly grips to these brand new ones. Guys, so I got these new grips on and it's looking way better. But the seat cover is looking ugly. So let's put on the new one. So here's the new seat cover, and the really good thing about it is that it color matches with the plastics on here. And it's black over here. It's pretty nice fabric. I like it. So let's take this seat off and put it on. Alright guys, so I just put on the seat cover. And it turned out amazing. I'm really happy with it. Now I'll slap it onto the Banshee. But before we slap it onto the Banshee, let's put on that purple cover for the gas tank. Alright guys, so I can proudly say that this thing is 100% done. Turned out really good. I love this beast.